when you choose a bad repricing solution or one that doesn't take some of this stuff into consideration, it's very easy to go, oh, we should be priced below the buy box. That's how we'll win. But inadvertently, you ruin buy box for everyone. You ruin everyone's profitability. And so, a good repricing solution will make sure that you're winning the buy box at the highest possible price and getting the buy box share that you deserve without lowering the price to a point where you're liquidating stock and losing out on those margins.
Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to Season 3 of the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies to grow your Amazon business. Today, I'm joined by none other than Adrian Rich from SellerSnap. SellerSnap's actually a software which I've known about for the last 5-6 years that I've been in the Amazon space, and we've had clients who've used SellerSnap for a long time. So I'm very excited to have him on the podcast. Adrian's actually the GM, so he's been leading the company for the last 4 years, developing new tools, and he has a background in tools, customer analytics, and actually developing the more technical and the more advanced things on the platform over the last several years. So I'm super excited to dive into that with him. Adrian, welcome to the show.
John, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. So there's a bit of a different episode today, which is really cool because we're actually diving into the tool which is used primarily, from my understanding, by a lot of resellers, and actually because of your price point and the way you work, a lot of higher level resellers. So can you talk us a little bit through maybe why somebody would use a dynamic repricer and what your average client looks like, I suppose?
For sure, John. Happy to. So, we are a price optimization and analytics platform, or as the industry sort of knows it as repricing. And it's an essential service for e-commerce marketplace sellers who have competitive products. So when I say competitive products, I mean these are people that are competing for a buy box or buy box similar type of placement on different types of marketplaces. But primarily we support Amazon sellers who compete for a buy box. And the way our algorithm works is it's trying to win you your buy box at the highest possible price and winning you the fair share of that buy box so that you can make sure that you're profitable without tanking the profitability of your listing. And in a nutshell, that's essentially what it is. And for people on our side of the space, for our customer segment, it is an essential service because, you can't operate at the same speed or to the same decision-making capacity of a machine that's doing this 24 hours a day. And so that's sort of, I guess, where our niche lies.
I love it. And then kind of really, how does the algorithm work? How to decide where you fit in and what's it take into account for this repricing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think that, for those that know the repricing space, they would be aware that there's many different types of repricing solutions out there, different price points, and different ways that they work. The former being rule-based systems where a seller builds really rigid ruling, or if that, then this statements, based on a desired outcome. And the problem with some of those solutions is that they aren't flexible enough in dynamic environments. And obviously economic environments are dynamic by nature. As competitors raise or lower prices, the elasticity of demand changes. And so the way our system works is we are very active in trying to understand the competition and how they're behaving. So we're tracking our competitors' behaviors, and then with that insight, making decisions that are positive towards the goals of our customers. So an example of this in practical terms is you might have one other competitor, and you are undercutting that competitor by 1 cent. And what's this causing the market to do is go lower and lower and lower and lower until you're both selling at your bottom prices and hurting your bottom line. And the way our algorithm works is it recognizes these sort of price wars occurring, and then instead of engaging, it says, hey, if my competitor is always trying to beat me by 1 cent, there's no point in me lowering prices. I might as well raise prices. And so at the end of the day, you end up with that same fair share of the buy box you would have received at your bottom line, but now you're doing it at a profit margin that doesn't hurt that bottom line.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't even know that. So rather than being programmatic and just always trying to win, it monitors, and then does it then compare it to what price it would have it at anyway compared to the competition? And is it also monitoring the competition in the same like for same keywords or same niche? How does that work?
It's not based on supplementary types of products. It's based on supplementary listings. So you might compete with another seller for an identical product. A customer comes to buy, let's say a Walla drink bottle. I feel like it's a product that's gone viral recently. And so you're going to buy this product and you're only buying one of them. So only one person can take the sale, even though there might be 20 people selling an identical product. And so what we're sort of trying to do is, like I said, understand that the behaviors of our competitors, how they're repricing, and then make sure that you're priced optimally to get that fair share. And we sort of refer to it as game theory inspired repricing. So you can win the buy box 100% of the time. That is possible. But to do that, you have to be priced below your competition 100% of the time. And naturally, this is competitive markets. If you try to be priced below your competition all the time, you will lower the prices for everyone. You think about a gasoline station on two different corners of an intersection. And if one of them tried to be cheaper than the other one all the time, both of them would lower their prices. And that's essentially what's occurring in a buy box. It's an intersection with two gas stations, and you're trying to play a game or using game theory to keep the prices high.
That makes a lot of sense. And then at the same time, is your algorithm also taking into account either your stock levels or the stock levels of your competitors on that listing?
I think we get this one a lot. And essentially, we're not really, and the industry isn't. And I think it's good to bring it up because it's a bit of a misconception in the space, because people use tools, like Keeper as an example, which tells you about your competition stock levels. But the way they're doing it is through scraping data. And repricers traditionally rely on the SP API, the Selling Partner API, which is when you authorize Amazon to give a third-party solution your data. And if you engage in scraping, you lose access to your developer ID. You'll have your account terminated. So it's something that I think people ask for all the time. I think it might be one of our most requested features through our sales inbox and through our feature request board. But it's not actually possible for that reason, is that you might have your developer credentials removed, which means you wouldn't be able to provide service at all.
Yeah, that would suck.
Killer business.
Killer business, yeah. It's interesting that quite a lot, obviously there's a million tools out there that actually do scrape Amazon, because there are ways to scrape without them knowing, but if you have the data in your software when they check out your software, I assume they're going to ask you where it came from.
Yeah, well, I think there's usually a bit of like a gray line. Like you're either primarily a scraper or primarily accessing the data, and it's usually not so much crossover. And so you just sort of have to decide where your business sort of lies now. And the other one is, if you're using scraping data, it can't be live because you have to do this very regularly. So for high velocity items, if you were trying to make decisions based on competition and you're relying on scraping, maybe you're scraping once a day, maybe you're scraping once an hour, but a high velocity item, you actually might not have up-to-date data to make those decisions. And that could leave you in a pretty difficult predicament.
That makes sense. Is there any way through, just out of my interest, through the SP API, is there any way of tracking competitors in the same space, or would that all be scraped? Is that all front-end stuff? No,
so that type of stuff is possible. So when you're talking about repricing specifically for competitive listings, there is an API called the Any Offer Price Change Notification, and they have one for B2B prices as well. And essentially, it's an event-driven communication that Amazon provides when there is a change to any offer on a listing. So if any competitor leaves an ASIN, joins an ASIN, or changes their price, or there is a change in the buy box price, this notification is sent automatically. And so it's that data in the Any Offer Price Change Notification that repricers use to make price changing decisions, because it's real time and accurate.
Oh, nice. And I guess Amazon's providing that for you specifically so you can do exactly what you're doing, which is make the market as competitive as humanly possible for the buyer.
Yeah, well, you need some form of transparency. I think if you didn't know what prices your competitors were at, you would not know how to price. So you could be, you could be uncompetitive, priced significantly above the buy box. Or what Amazon would prefer is you're very competitive below the buy box, drawing down prices. And so when you choose a bad repricing solution, or one that doesn't take some of this stuff into consideration, it's very easy to go, oh, we should be priced below the buy box. That's how we will win. But inadvertently, you ruin you ruin the buy box for everyone, you ruin everyone's profitability. And so, a good repricing solution will make sure that you're winning the buy box at the highest possible price and getting the buy box share that you deserve without lowering the price to a point where, you're liquidating stock and losing out on those margins.
Cool. And if you're reselling a product, over and over again, you're restocking and you're replanning it. Does SellerSnap also help with inventory insights, inventory management to make sure that you stay in stock?
Yeah, so we definitely do. We have a replenishment suggestions tool, and this is, I guess, good for wholesalers, but also for private labelers. We have an advanced analytics platform, which we're always evolving. And one of those tools is our replenishment suggestion. So, we look at sort of key metrics about the performance of listings and then tell you based on your inputs, being how long it takes you to get inventory into a fulfillment center or to manufacture, whatever it might be, when you should reorder and how much you should reorder to maintain that sort of sell through and to maintain that inventory supply. And especially in 2024, where there's been such a big push on sort of historical days of supply and the low inventory level fee, having that ability to have some informed decision making on when to replenish and how much to replenish can be really helpful for sellers to make sure they're not getting those higher fees.
So yeah, I guess when people are using your tool, they'll have a lot of, not always, but there might be quite a few customer support issues of why things aren't showing up, this is happening, that's happening. Where does your line stop and what can you help people with kind of as part of your customer support?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. I think that, repricing is a very hands-on type solution, need for sellers, and creating the right repricing or price optimization strategies takes time and care. Now, our solution can be very hands-off. It's an algorithm, so you can set your minimum or your floor price and your maximum, your ceiling price, press go, and the system will just make decisions that are in your best interest. But some people want to be much more hands-on, and those people have access to our account management team, who are brilliant at strategizing based on your needs and your business objectives. One seller might want to liquidate stock because they're not replenishing, and another seller might want to make sure they're maintaining profitability because they're constantly replenishing. And so our team will meet with you very regularly, very hands-on, to craft specific strategies for your business needs and make sure they're constantly readjusting to make sure that you're being as profitable as possible or meeting those goals. And that's a continuous service that we provide throughout the lifetime of your contract. And even before, during our 15-day trial, there's no point in putting you into our system and then not providing support to get you set up because you're not going to have a good experience. You can do it, and some people like to learn by themselves, but everyone is available to get free onboarding sessions with our, onboarding specialists and account managers throughout the lifetime of their time with SellerSnap.
Cool. And I guess if someone is starting to resell or if they're doing reselling as well as their private label, what kind of volumes they need to be doing to get value out of your service? Yeah,
so I guess it depends on your size. We have a few different models and feature sets that are available. And I would say that, for most sellers, making anywhere above $5,000 to $10,000 a month, there is some service offering that SellerSnap can support with. At the end of the day, if you can increase your profitability on all of your products by a few cents each, you pay for the increased cost of using a repricer. And so really it's as we say, it's chalk and cheese, it's black and white. You're running a business, and if you turn on the solution and you're seeing your profit go up by more than the subscription cost, it's an easy decision to make. And so my sales team, who is part of that onboarding team, really holds your hand through this. And they'll show you, since you've turned on repricing, these are the listings that we've seen increase by, the average sale price by 15 cents or 20 cents. And you sold 100 units in the last week. So based on that, this is how much additional profit you made from this specific product. And they'll drill down with you so you understand the value proposition. And at the end of the day, it's just, is this value for me and my business? And it's a pretty easy decision.
Makes a lot of sense. Sounds like a great business decision for a lot of people. Okay, cool. So we're going to move on to the part of the podcast episode where we talk about your controversial take. I think Americans call it a hot take. What's your most debatable or controversial opinion related to Amazon or the e-commerce industry?
There's probably a lot of them, and I think they flip-flop day to day based on, what's the controversial thing going on Twitter regarding e-commerce and Amazon. But I think probably I think the most important thing to sellers at the moment is making sure that they're hitting all channels. And what do I mean with all channels? I mean, you're hitting all customer segments, specifically offering products in Amazon B2B and Amazon Business. And I think a lot of sellers don't understand that there's actually two buy boxes in Amazon, those for by consumers that have put a business credit card in, and those for consumers that don't have a business credit card in. And when you are selling to businesses, there is extra requirements that they need, especially in Europe, but they also demand better deals, quick shipping times, and like I said, in Europe, you also need to be able to guarantee invoices. You need to be able to guarantee that things are delivered between and during business hours. And so if you can supply and provide these types of things, which if you're an FBA seller, you can, really, if you're not offering business offers, which are discounted prices for business customers, you're just missing out on an entire segment of opportunity. And I think people that don't get into this segment will lose out drastically. I think they mentioned in an earnings call earlier this year that Amazon Business was now doing $25 billion in revenue every year. Like that was their run rate. And so that's clearly a huge industry. And if you've got, products that you replenish regularly and you have good supply lines and you want to move more products, it's worth doing so. And like I said, if those that don't will be left in the dust.
Yeah, love it. And that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely have got friends who've been in the space or sold their businesses who've done really significant volume through Amazon Business. So I think anyone who's listening, that's like a key takeaway from this episode, even just to make sure you're on Amazon Business if you have a product that could be consumed by businesses, which is pretty much most products.
I think about everything and a lot of it. And I just think that, like I said, people aren't aware of this thing, and they really should be, because it's just missed opportunity if you don't get involved.
Cool. Thanks, Adrian. So if anyone wants to find out more about SellerSnap, connect with you, connect with your team, what's the best way to do it?
So head to sellersnap.io. That's our website, and from there, there's opportunity to start a 15-day free trial or reach out to our support desk for questions. And also feel free to follow us on Twitter or X now, I guess, or Instagram or on LinkedIn. So we're on all the channels, but my best recommendation is go to our website and fill out an account creation form, and our team will reach out to you to offer you some setup calls and demos to get you going as quickly as possible.
Love it. Thank you for being here. And so thanks for here. Thanks for sharing. That's really cool. And I think it's definitely a different angle from a lot of what we talk about. So yeah, we'll definitely make sure that we label this episode clearly for resellers or just people looking to get into Amazon who are wholesalers, because there's still so much opportunity. And especially because it's a marketplace platform, even if you're selling the same thing as everyone else with the software, if you've got the right pricing, then you can still make very significant money. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Wherever you've been watching, consuming, or consuming in any way, please feel free to rate us, give us some feedback, and that helps us go up the rankings. And check back next week for another amazing interview with whoever's up next week. So thanks, Adrian, and have a great day.